Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I want you to know that your children and your family definitely appreciate you being the silent hero, tackling those boogie monsters in the closet and under the bed. And without you, your kids wouldn't be able to sleep safely. So thank you for all your hard work, dads. And on that note, let's get started. Imagine two scandals years apart shaking Canada's trust in government and exposing how corporate greed can exploit taxpayers. The SNC-Lavalin scandal of 2019 and the GCStrategies scandal of 2025 share a troubling truth. Banning a company isn't enough when it can just rebrand and keep cashing government checks. Worse, the individuals who orchestrate these schemes often face no lasting consequences. Today, we'll unpack both scandals, explore why Justin Trudeau's Montreal riding influenced his actions, and highlight how Conservative MPs are now demanding Canadians get their money back from GCStrategies, plus lifetime bans for its employees. Let's get started on this one. So, in 2019, SNC-Lavalin, a Montreal-based engineering giant, was embroiled in one of Canada's biggest political controversies. From 2001 to 2011, the company allegedly, most likely, paid $48 million in bribes to Libyan officials, including Saadi Gaddafi, son of dictator Muammar Gaddafi, to secure lucrative construction contracts. They also defrauded Libyan organizations of $130 million by rigging bids, costing the Libyan people dearly. In 2015, the RCMP charged SNC-Lavalin with fraud and corruption. A conviction would have barred the company from federal contracts for 10 years under Canada's integrity regime, threatening its 9,000 Canadian jobs, many of which are located in Quebec, and its role in major projects like the Champlain Bridge in British Columbia. To avoid a trial, SNC-Lavalin lobbied hard for a Deferred Prosecution Agreement, a DPA, which is a deal where they would pay a fine, reform, and dodge a criminal record. Canada passed DPA legislation in 2018 through Bill C-74, but in October of 2018, Kathleen Roussel, the Director of Public Prosecutions, rejected SNC-Lavalin's DPA request, arguing, and I agree with, the crimes were too serious for a slap on the wrist. That's when the scandal took a political turn. Enter then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who also served as MP for Papineau, a diverse urban riding in Montreal, Quebec. Trudeau and his team pressured then Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould to overrule Roussel and grant SNC-Lavalin a DPA. Why was Trudeau so invested? As Papineau's MP, he was deeply tied to Montreal's economy, where SNC-Lavalin was a powerhouse. A conviction could have triggered layoffs, hitting Quebec hard, and potentially costing jobs in his own riding. With the 2019 election looming, Trudeau also feared political fallout in Quebec, where the Liberals held 40 of 78 seats, including Papineau. Losing voter support in his riding or across the province could have jeopardized his party's chances in the next election. Wilson-Raybould testified before the House of Commons Justice Committee that Trudeau and his team, including senior aide Gerald Butts and Clerk of Privy Council Michael Wernick, applied consistent and sustained pressure. Trudeau cited his role as Quebec MP, warning that job losses could hurt the Liberals politically. In a September 2018 meeting, he pushed for a solution, but Wilson-Raybould stood firm, refusing to interfere with the independent judicial process. She was then shuffled to Veterans Affairs in January of 2019, a move she saw as retaliation. And she then resigned from cabinet soon after. Treasury Board President Jane Philpott quit in solidarity, and Butts stepped down, although he denied any wrongdoing. In August of 2019, Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion found Trudeau violated the Conflict of Interest Act by improperly influencing Wilson-Raybould, a rare rebuke of a sitting prime minister. The scandal damaged Trudeau's image, but the Liberals still won a minority government in 2019, so I guess scandals are okay. So what happened to SNC-Lavalin in December of 2019? Its construction subsidiary pleaded guilty to one count of fraud, agreeing to pay $280 million fine over 5 years and serve 3 years probation with independent monitor. The plea was carefully crafted. Only an inactive subsidiary took the hit, and the fraud charges didn't trigger an automatic contract ban. All other charges were dropped, letting SNC-Lavalin keep bidding on federal work. Their stock surged 20% after the plea, and Quebec Premier François Legault called it a win for the province. The executives who drove the corruption faced tougher consequences. Sami Bebawi, a former vice president, got 8 years in prison for fraud and corruption. Ben Asa, another executive, was convicted in Switzerland and Canada for bribery and fraud. Former CEO Pierre Duham and executive Normand Morin faced penalties for related scandals. But the company, it moved on. In 2023, SNC-Lavalin rebranded as AtkinsRéalis. Tongue new leadership and ethics. Since the plea, they've secured over $80 million in federal contracts, including a $6.8 million deal the day of the plea, and $8.5 million in British Columbia contracts. A new name, a few resignations, and they were back at the government trot. Although some executives were penalized, nothing changed. Both federal and provincial Liberal government supported SNC-Lavalin. Why? Greed. Both showing that being ethical members of the government is not of the utmost importance. Now let's fast forward to 2025 and the GCStrategies scandal, which echoes SNC-Lavalin's playbook. GCStrategies, a 2-person IT staffing firm run by Christian Firth and Darren Anthony, was central to the ArriveCan app scandal. Originally budgeted at only $80,000, just $80,000. The app's costs skyrocketed to $60 million, with GCStrategies pocketing millions. Auditor General Karen Hogan's June 2025 report revealed that GCStrategies was paid $92.7 million across 106 contracts, often without verifying work, reviewing timesheets, or ensuring security clearances, which, if you recall, that was something the Liberals held against Poilievre. So we can add that to the list of Liberal hypocrisy happening here. GCStrategies didn't even do IT work. They just staffed contractors, yet they won a $25 million ArriveCan contract after helping shape its terms, a clear conflict of interest. The RCMP is investigating, and this month, Public Services and Procurement Canada banned GCStrategies from federal contracts for 7 years, just before Hogan's report dropped. Sound familiar? A temporary ban, but no guarantee they won't rebrand and return. Conservative MPs are fed up. Led by Leslyn Lewis, Michael Barrett, and Shannon Stubbs, they're calling GCStrategies' profit a taxpayer ripoff. On June 12th, this past Thursday, they tabled a motion demanding the government recover the full $92.7 million and impose lifetime bans on GCStrategies and its founders, Firth and Anthony, and any affiliated entities. Stubb declared, "You work hard for your money and you darn well should get it back." Barrett emphasized that Firth and Anthony shouldn't be allowed near any public funds again, citing their gross mismanagement. Posts on X draw chilling parallels to SNC-Lavalin. One user asked, "I wonder when they will rename their company like SNC-Lavalin." Another warned that without banning individuals, Firth and Anthony could resurface at a new firm, just as SNC-Lavalin's executives could have after their convictions. The public is aware and awake to this conflict. This brings us to the core issue. Banning companies like SNC-Lavalin or GCStrategies doesn't work when they can rebrand and rebound. SNC-Lavalin became AtkinsRéalis, kept winning contracts, and left taxpayers questioning accountability. GCStrategies faces a 7-year ban, but what stops Firth and Anthony from starting a new company in 2032? The system lets firms dodge consequences by changing names or shuffling leadership, while the individuals who bribe, defraud, or exploit, like those ones we mentioned just earlier, face no permanent barrier to government work. Canada's integrity regime, updated post-SNC-Lavalin, now covers more fraud types, but it doesn't mandate lifetime bans for corrupt executives or contractors. Other countries like the US have stricter debarment rules for individuals. Without targeting the people behind these schemes, we're just rearranging deck chairs. Both scandals show that accountability starts with people, not logos. Lifetime bans for individuals convicted of corruption or gross mismanagement, like GCStrategies, Firth and Anthony, would deter future schemes. If you bribe officials or fleece taxpayers, you should be done with public money, period. Conservative MPs push for bans on GCStrategies founders is a step forward, but it needs to be law applied consistently to cases like SNC-Lavalin. Imagine if Babawi or Ben Asa had been banned for life from government contracts. They couldn't consult for new firms or re-enter the system. Maybe Firth and Anthony, facing the same, would think twice about exploiting contracts. It's about protecting taxpayers and rebuilding trust. These two scandals expose a broken system. Trudeau's push to save SNC-Lavalin, driven partly by his Papineau riding, led to an ethic violation, but no real justice. AtkinsRéalis thrives with millions in contracts. GCStrategies' $92.7 million haul has Conservatives demanding refunds and bans, but a company ban alone won't cut it. As we stand today, these scandals remind us, corruption isn't a faceless corporate act, it's people making choices. Lifetime bans for those people, executives, contractors, anyone who betrays the public, would send a clear message. Will the Liberal government support this motion? They said they would fight to protect Canadians. So if that's true, they should, shouldn't they? What do you think? Do you think they're going to support this? I've been reflecting on the actions of the Liberal government, and it's hard to shake the sense that they are deliberately stirring up crises to convince Canadians to trade their freedoms for so-called security. When I look at their actions, not their words, but what they actually do, it's clear to me they're not focused on the prosperity of all Canadians. Take Bill C-75, the bail reform bill, as prime example. It feels like victims are the ones being punished while criminals get a pass. Or consider the multi-million-dollar contracts handed out to companies like GCStrategies, which, according to the Auditor General's report, secured deals through bribes and flagrant disregard for procurement protocols. The government has rules to prevent this kind of misconduct, yet they were ignored. Time and again, I struggle to find a single Liberal policy that, once you peel back the surface, doesn't end up harming Canadians in some way. If you feel differently, please share in the comments. This is something I would gladly say that I was wrong about, but I know I'm not. So that's all I have to say on this, for now anyways. I will be taking a small leave of absence from the show this coming week. My husband is facing a very big surgery this week, and as much as I love doing these episodes and sharing the unfiltered truths with you, nothing matters more to me in this world than the incredible man I am honored to call my husband. But don't worry, I'll be back in a week or so to cover the last week in the House of Commons and dive into some of Canada's most controversial proposed bills. I'm also planning to read a few books to explore Canada's history in more depth so that we can connect the past to the present and kind of play with the future a bit. That is the purpose of this show, to look at Canada's past, present, and future. Speaking of bills, my current list involves 63, 11, 21, 75, 223, 293. So if there's any others that you would like me to cover, share in the comments and I'll look into it. That's it for today's episode, everyone. I'm wishing you all a wonderful week and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.